Hello, everybody. Today we're going to give a feeding to everybody in the worms on the worm farm. Do a general check. I got some worms up top. This is my ENC bin. As people that follow me know, I try to start with my ENCs every time. That way I don't risk cross contamination. A lot of little worms, juveniles and toddler worms on that paper. The coffee filters are taking a bit of a workout from them, and that's okay. How's everybody been doing? I'd like to encourage everyone to like and subscribe and share and comment. I really enjoy the comments. Most of them anyways. One of the comments I had is, "Buddy, why are you doing this on your bed? Why am I working worms on my bed?" I'm one of those because I feel like it kind of guys. And it doesn't bother me. Colleen says it bugs her a little bit, but it doesn't bug her bad enough for her to leave me. So, just going to have a look, maybe give everybody a little bit of a mix up here and see how they're doing. But I'm going to kind of go from one end to the other, right? Because I do like my wedge system. And I don't want to bring all this to this end, so. Everybody seems to be doing just fine. It's lots of little worms. And I knew that when I did the reset a week ago. Everybody got reset a week ago, like, or either a week or 10 days ago. Almost 2 weeks ago now. But yeah, they've really brought it on. Like this is cool. Good results. Happy with the results. So we're gonna give a feed. Now, ENCs will utilize a lot of paper and coffee. I still like to keep an active feed zone in the ENCs so that they get together and the breeder size ones can breed. And I think that'll do. Potato peelings are fairly fast. If you put a full potato in, that's fairly slow food. And the moisture in that bin is really, really nice. Pretty much exactly where we'd like it. We're not really going to adjust anything. I'm just going to add coffee and fresh paper bedding back here. And this stuff's been sitting for a couple of weeks. Kind of working together. I didn't even add a lot of water to it this time because I don't know, it just water's easy to add to the bin. And this, once you add it, if you got a wet bin, you can't use it, then you just got to use dry. And I like to keep my carbon and my nitrogen mix about that way. So, yeah, it's however we kind of do it individually. Like, you better go back in there. Another thing I'll say is everyone has a different way of doing things. And I don't know if any of them are wrong. My way may be different than Hunter's way. Hunter's way is probably different than Captain Matt's, and so on and so forth. But I don't think there's a wrong way of doing them as long as your worms are thriving and surviving and doing their things. Now this is my ENC breeder bin, and I'm just going to feed it. We're not going to stir it up unless there's a problem, and I don't see a problem. Big fat ENC juvenile on the top. Yeah, see, I don't see in my breeder bin, I don't see a lot of worms on the paper, and that's okay because we want, like, no, the little worms will go onto the paper more often than the big worms will. And we want them to be mostly big worms in here to be a breeder. That's citrus. I'm not going to put citrus into my breeder bin. I would put citrus into something like the guys. But I won't put citrus into my breeder bins. It's just not a big population in there to deal with it. It will eventually get dealt with, that's for sure. I mean, it's a natural, it's maybe not a natural system, but it's an individual ecosystem in here, right? So they take the microbial activity that they produce, and it takes care of things that the worms don't directly eat themselves. And there's a lot of things in a worms farm situation. Got more stuff here. I was being confused. There's a lot of things in a worm farm situation that the worms don't eat directly. But does that mean you can't utilize such things in a worm farm? That's the thing. The microbes will utilize the stuff that, for say, citrus, that's a little bit more finicky to worms. This is my red wiggler breeder bin. And I think we got about another week on this before we got to, but they're eating the paper up here. They've been eating this paper for quite a while, but it's getting pretty much gone through. So to go back to my point, finish your point, Vince, finish your point. Red wiggler, worms don't necessarily utilize everything, so the things that they don't directly utilize, the microbial action will utilize it. And then the worms feed on the microbes. So it's a definite symbiosis situation. So don't come along and say, I can't feed onion. I've already really proven that one wrong. And I can't feed citrus because I haven't fed much citrus. I have fed a little bit. And it's not that I'm scared to, it's just, it seems like not a big deal around my place. We don't do a whole bunch of citrus. Sometimes we get oranges. Other than that, that's about the end of it. But other worm farmers that I watch on YouTube have used citrus and no problems. So this is the Guys in Cocoons bin from January 7th, and this bin, we'll do a full turn on it. The moisture is really nice in here. I think last time I fed somewhere back here, or maybe here. Looking for worms. There's worms, but there's not a whole bunch. There, we're getting back into where I fed. There's a lot more worms back here. So we're just going to continue on that. We're going to feed them some rice. Some potato. And anybody that's been following me knows that I freeze all my stuff before I give it to the worms. It breaks down the cell walls. There's a lot of little worms in here. Let's have a look. Oh man. Look at this. Look at this. Active feed zone from the last time. But there's nothing left for food. So I stir it up. Moisture's good. This end's going to work its way into the wedge system, right? Yeah, it's working well. Going to be a very active bin, you know. Keep adding carbon and nitrogen, cardboard and coffee. I don't always add molasses water, and I don't need to. If they're doing their thing, they don't need a bunch. Hey, extra bag. I'll put this over here. What else am I going to talk about today while I'm playing along here? Oh, I guess the date is April 7th. We're one day off of the big eclipse date. I don't know what everybody thinks of that. There's a pretty good chance. By the look of the weather around this country right now, around our area, but tomorrow could be cloudy, and we may not see anything, just darkness. And we're in Western Canada, so we're not going to see it as well as you would see it over in the east. Southern Ontario, Great Lakes region, they're going to see it a lot better than us. I believe this was our reset. There's some plastic. This was our reset of the original brooder bin. And there's a lot of worms in here. Like first handful in, I'm just rolling up hundreds of worms. So we're going to give it a good turn. Moisture's nice. And I am trying to get these to work like a wedge so that I can pull a little bit off of the ends as I go. And I don't have that great big casting harvest to do like I was doing a month ago. That, in all honesty, I should have done it sooner. Would have been a lot easier and more productive. The castings were they got so wet. Before Christmas, they were in perfect condition. And I'll give these guys a chunk of citrus. There's a lot of worms in here. Leave it. That's sweet potato. More potato. There's a lot of worms in here, so give them a fair bit. Cover them up. Chunk of plastic. You know, I was saying while I was doing the sort on my big bin that I was pulling a lot of plastic pieces out, right? And through my comments, the comments that come to me, I have had some people that asked about the colored cardboard. And I really do concentrate on trying to keep actual plastic from going through my shredder when I do it. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm sure I missed some. But as I was doing that harvesting of the castings and then measuring the worms video and stuff, I really picked out a lot of pieces of plastic, and it looked to me like they were extra thin. Like maybe that was the coating, the plastic coating of the plastic from the colored cardboard. In either case, I don't see where it matters. The cardboard's gone. The worms didn't have any ill effect. They just left the plastic. And this is really wet. And in the end, I got some great castings. And like I said, the worms don't care what color the cardboard is. And I mean, let's go with an honest situation here. As humans, we overthink so much stuff. There's some worms. Oh, we can't give them this and we shouldn't give them that. You know what? My worms are doing well. I would not say that they're not healthy. My parameters, or my idea about having worms is to have them work with my regenerative agricultural system. In other words, use things that aren't being used. Getting to be more worms in this bin. This is one of those bins where I was putting a lot of things and stuff in. I don't think we got to give all onion. Just a piece of onion. Lots of little potatoes. Chunk of garlic. Rice, potatoes. Okay. We're not going to go hog wild with this. And as wet as that top was, grab some of this. These are just Kleenexes that didn't make it to the garbage. Cover this up. Then I'm going to get another bag, because I have bags. And as the game progresses, they'll use it. Okay, let's get back to the colored cardboard thing. We overthink, as humans, we overthink things too much. And we think, oh, we can't do this and we can't do that. They're worms, people. It's not that I'm trying to abuse them. They're happy. They're reproducing. They're doing their thing. But we think, wow, there's so many rules. The only rules is put it in there and find out if they eat it. If they don't, you'll be the first to know. I'm really turning this up. This is muddy down below. I'm going to turn this in with it. So this was my fat, guys, and I've been putting in like worms out of the castings. And when I say worms out of the castings, as I re-sift the castings and clean up from doing the castings, those cocoons and worms went in here. So there's going to get to be a good population in here. And then this will eventually be, I might be telling you a story. This is actually still a brooder bin. These guys are starting to come on. This is the last brooder bin I've been developing. These guys are really starting to do something. There's getting to be more worms in here. I'm going to give them a feeding. That's good enough. They've got lots of things to do. They've got food, they've got cardboard, they've got bedding. Sorry, I was telling you a fig story. This is definitely a brooder bin. But it's okay because, you know, they're all worm bins. I just don't want to mix up my ENCs and my night crawlers, or my night crawlers with my red wigglers. We're going to put this stuff in. So anything you can do, the moisture's good, maybe a little wet in the very bottom, but these guys have got a very long way to go. I can adjust the moisture with bedding. It's either dry bedding or wet bedding or dry paper. Those bags will help suck some of that moisture up. But I'm still just going to close it up. Alrighty. Now I do believe that these, are my these are the worms that I've been just kind of pulling out of everything and putting in, and there's getting to be a good bunch of worms in here. And that cauliflower from last time, still working on it. Or is that potato? That's potato. They're working on it. And they're after it. And they're in that area where I fed them. Oh, yes. There you go, guys. Active bin. This was my reset. This was a reset. That's what it was. A little dry back here. That's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to put some food back here. That worm and that potato that's in there, pretty much all gone. We put a little bit of citrus over there, a little bit of onion over here. That garlic we're going to keep for another day. More tater. A lot of worms in here, guys. We're going to feed them. And we're going to cover them up. And we're going to add a little bit of bedding. Like this bedding is damp, really damp from the coffee. It's carrying a lot of coffee. And it's carrying a lot of paper. So, just keep stuff covered up. Keeps your flies down, like gnats. And as anybody knows, gnats are annoying. But if you keep everything covered, not as big a problem. Okay. So we got that, and that, that. That's just newspaper. We'll read the news. Quick Dick McDick. Hilarious guy. We've had him around the area. He is a funny guy. If you get a chance, go check him out on YouTube. He's pretty hilarious. Alright. The guys. My guy's bin is, as you know, been on a reset. So, everything's been reset. Really wet. Really, really wet. Extra bag. There worms on there. I'm going to keep that bag. I don't need all the extra in here. Alright. See how they're doing with the cardboard or with the paper? They're doing it. They like paper. They like all sorts of paper. So look at my castings are leaving at the top. It's awesome. So this bin is really wet. Really, really wet. Muddy wet. Lots of worms, of course. There's probably 2 pounds or more of worms in this bin. So there is lots of worms. There you go. There's my feed zone from last week. Still a little onion. Pretty normal. So, look at my hands, guys. It's just sticking like mud. It's muddy. And yes, I just finished resetting this bin last week. Does that mean we're going to leave it like this because I mean this is a continuous flow bin, so if it's all muddy at this end, I'll never be able to sift it. Still some food in here. On a reset, that doesn't surprise me. Give it a good mixing. Shove everybody back to this end. And we're going to put a feed zone right here. And it's going to be a huge feed zone. So I've been avoiding putting this garlic in smaller bins, but this big bin is going to take it. Onion, carrots, potatoes. I hope everybody had a good Easter last weekend. Well, last weekend? Yeah, I think it was. Man, I get confused on the times when a person's just doing day-to-day stuff every day. We're working on, Pat and I have been working on building a chicken coop for a friend of ours. And that's coming along nicely. But the last couple of days we've been stopped because we had other things to do. Okay, so lots and lots of moisture there. We'll throw some of that on top. Go like this. We're going to pull all this up into here and we've got to dry. Oh, there's a handful of worms. Right back. Yep. And we're going to put some dry bedding in here. And that's going to help suck up some of that moisture, make things a little bit more workable over time. It's not going to happen right away, but this bin is very wet. Okay, so you've seen what happened there with that paper. It's pretty much toast. See what else is in the news here. Huh. Anybody want to go curling? Curling's going on. Actually, it's been over for a while. These are old papers. On the farm with a goat. Okay. Okay, that is our feeding the worms this week. I am not going to do a full cover of plastic on this end. It's too much. There's too much moisture happening. So we're going to leave it like this. We're going to, and I don't, when I store it, when I carry it, I pick it up and I put the bin down. But when I store it, I leave the end of the bin open. About that much, so that air can get in. Just so everybody doesn't think, wow, no wonder it's so wet, because it's so closing it right off. I'm not closing it right off. I definitely leave it open. Okay, that's feeding the worms for April 7th, 2024. Thanks for coming by. Like, subscribe, and share. And comment. Have a great one.